morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is the English Bulletin with me, Shrawan. The top stories first. Coronavirus claims 7 lives in a single day, number of infection rising. Government assures it will not reimpose nationwide lockdown, does not rule out partial lockdown in affected areas. Price of gold crosses 100,000 mark, the precious yellow metal beyond average Nepalese purchasing power. India warns standoff with China will be long, retracts the statement later. And final 8 of the Europa League confirmed, Wolves reach quarter-final of the European Cup after 48 years. And now the news in detail. The death toll from coronavirus has reached 65 in Nepal. Government authorities confirmed yesterday that 7 more persons died of the disease within the last 24 hours, taking the toll to 65. According to spokesperson at Health Ministry, Dr. Jageshwar Gautam, the latest victims were from Morang, Sarlahi, Thanusha and Saptari. So far, 21,750 persons have been infected with coronavirus in the country. Altogether, 360 new cases were confirmed yesterday. Among the new cases, 87 were reported in Kathmandu, which is the highest single-day confirmation in the capital. Meanwhile, 15,389 persons have recovered from the disease and have been discharged from hospitals. The number of active cases at present is 6,296. They are undergoing treatment in isolation. Meanwhile, the government has strictly ordered any institution not to organize any kind of meeting or gathering. The government has also instructed the provincial governments to adopt precautionary measures in districts that share border with India, as there has been a surge in infection in those areas. The government has also instructed the concerned bodies to ensure proper health standards in the capital, where there has been a steady rise in number of infection. The government has decided not to reimpose nationwide lockdown immediately. Depending on the number of coronavirus infection, the government, however, did not rule out partial lockdown starting from the districts and local levels.
Unveiling the cabinet decisions yesterday, government spokesperson and Minister for Communication and Information Technology, Dr. Yuvraj Khatiyara, ruled out the chances of nationwide lockdown for now. The government does not intend to opt for a nationwide lockdown, and no such preparations have been made so far, said Minister Khatiyara. However, partial lockdown in districts and local levels where higher number of cases have been reported can be imposed, Dr. Khatiyara added, stating that the lockdown has already been reimposed in more than 24 local units. Minister Khatiyara reiterated that only those places with high number of coronavirus cases will be under strict lockdown.
जुन जिल्लाहरुमा कोरोना संक्रमणको अब अवस्था शून्य भइसक्यो त्यहाँ अलि खुकुलो गरेर जाने जुन जिल्लामा बढेको छ त्यहाँ स्थानीय तहको रूपमा होस् या जिल्लाको रूपमा होस् कडाइका साथ जाने र कतिपयले त लकडाउनै पनि गर्नुभएको छ यो हामीले देखेकै कुरा हो अहिले नि हामी अलि त्रसित भएर फेरि पूर्ण लकडाउन हुन्छ कि भनेर जानुपर्ने स्थिति छैन त्यसो हुनाले अहिले नि सन्त्रस्त नहुन म सबैलाई आह्वान गर्छु.
Considering the surge in COVID-19 cases inside the Kathmandu Valley, some key decisions have been taken to contain the infection, Minister Khatiyara informed. Acknowledging that the daily life of individuals will be affected by the restrictions, Minister Khatiyara requested everyone not to haste for availing public service. He assured that the government has been managing all necessary medical equipment and devices to fight the virus.
सरकारले कतिपय ठाउँमा आईसीयूहरुको थप विस्तार गर्ने भेन्टिलेटरमा जाने अवस्था हामीले सृजना नै नगर्ने हो भरसक किनभने त्यो एक किसिमको अलि बढी नै जोखिमयुक्त अवस्था हो त्यो भन्या त्यसो हुनाले हामीले सबै अरू प्रकारका उपचारका विधिहरू अपनाउनुपर्छ। प्रतिकारात्मक र उपचारात्मक दुईटै विधि अपनाएर त्यो स्थिति आउन दिनु हुँदैन।
The number of people in quarantine facility has been decreasing, and instead the need for more isolation wards has been increasing. Therefore, the government has been preparing accordingly, Khatiora further said. The government, in fact, has developed a strategy of adding more ICU wards in different places based on risk analysis, he added. The government remains cautious and is fully aware of the economic and other damages that can arise due to continuous lockdown to stem the COVID-19 infections, Dr. Khatiora informed. In the present context, opening of educational institutions, international flights, and public transportation would not be feasible, Minister Khatiora said. Chartered flights to rescue Nepali nationals stranded abroad will, however, continue, Minister Khatiora added.
A 6-member parliamentary committee has been formed to advise the government on the revitalization and manage problematic industries. Government spokesperson Dr. Yuvraj Khatiora informed the parliamentary committee was formed by the cabinet meeting held last Monday to advise the government for the identification, categorization, revitalization, reconstruction and management of problematic business and industries. Former Secretary Deepak Subedi has been appointed as the coordinator of the committee. Likewise, the government has also directed the Ministry of Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation to implement the suggestions made by another committee led by the Secretary of Energy Ministry to end the dispute between Nepal Electricity Authority and industrialists regarding the trunk line.
ट्रङ्क लाइन र डेडिकेटेड फिडरमा को माध्यमबाट भएको विद्युत आपूर्तिको सन्दर्भमा विद्युत प्राधिकरण र विद्युत उपयोगकर्ताको बीचको लामो विवाद यो चलिरहेकै विषय छ। त्यसमा कतिपय अदालतका निर्णयहरू पनि भएका छन् र त्यो सम्बन्धी एउटा निर्णयमा पुग्नलाई ऊर्जा जलस्रोत र सिँचाइ मन्त्रालयको सचिवको संयोजकत्वमा एउटा समिति गठन गरेको थियो। त्यसले एउटा प्रतिवेदन दिएको छ।
Likewise, the government has decided to extend the time period of an agreement reached with India to implement small development projects until August 5, 2023. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. After the break, we continue with other national news. The COVID-19 Crisis Management Center is preparing to adopt strict measures in Kathmandu from today due to the rise in number of coronavirus cases in the capital. Although the CCMC has intensified preparations to tighten measures to contain the disease, it is yet to take a concrete decision, informed spokesperson of Home Ministry Chakra Bahadur Buda. CCMC is holding a meeting at 10:30 am today to chart out future strategy. The government reimposed odd-even system for vehicles from yesterday following a meeting between Prime Minister KP Oli and health experts. Likewise, districts like Parsa and Jhapa, where there are excessive cases of coronavirus, have issued prohibitory orders. Yesterday, 6 security personnel deployed to protect NCP Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal tested positive for coronavirus. Likewise, 33 staffers of the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority also tested positive for the disease recently. On Thursday alone, 87 new cases were reported in the capital, in addition to 62 cases a day before. Spokesperson of the Federal Parliament, Rojnath Pandey, has been infected with coronavirus. The Parliamentary Committee had visited Sinduli for monitoring forest areas 2 weeks ago. Pandey and Public Accounts Committee member Pradeep Yadav were in the team. Informed sources said Pandey tested positive soon after returning from the field visit. Spokesperson Pandey is currently in home quarantine. JanataTelevision could not verify if other members of the team also tested positive for coronavirus. Meanwhile, Deputy Spokesperson of the Federal Parliament, Dasrath Dhamala, said that Pandey is on leave due to personal problem and the Parliament has not been notified about his health status. The Nepali Congress has decided to increase the current active membership by 100%. Nepali Congress leader Arjun Narsingha Kesi informed of the decision to increase the active membership by 100% taken by the meeting held yesterday at Party President Sherbahadur Deuba's residence in Buranilkantha. The previous decision was set on maintaining the new active membership at 50%. Leader Ramchandra Paudel has been expressing objections to the establishment faction's decision. If the active membership is increased by 100%, the total number of active members in the Nepali Congress will reach 1 million. On the other hand, the meeting between the current and the former position holders at the party president's residence could not solve the dispute surrounding the decision made by the current leadership, which opponent factions leaders claim is against the party statute. And now the news from the economic front. As the price of gold crossed 100,000 rupee mark, jewellery shops around Kathmandu Valley are starting to close down due to lack of customers. The unprecedented increase in the price of gold has put it out of the reach of average Nepali's purchasing power. A report.
The coronavirus pandemic, which has crippled even the strongest of world economies, has now changed the way investors are spending their money. Investors have shifted their attention to gold, a stable and secure investment, and caused a massive increase in its price. On the other hand, the price of $1, which hovered around the 110 rupees mark, has shot up to 120 rupees. Both the increase in dollar and gold in the international market has helped the price of gold cross the 100,000 rupees mark in Nepal. The decrease in interest rates from banks all over the world has also pushed the investors to spend more on gold than the share market. The gold market has remained unstable since last August in Nepal and hasn't really recovered until now. People have stopped buying gold except for important purposes, which has decreased the transaction of gold by more than 10%. With no customers to serve, many gold shops are starting to close down.
कोरोनाको कारणले सुनको भाउ अब हैन त्यसमा उतार चढाव आउँछ कि भन्ने कुरा एउटा कुरा तर अहिलेको यो जुन सुनको भाउ बढेको छ नि त्यो भाउ बढेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि बजारमा व्यापारै छैन एकदमै कम छ हैन त्यसकारणले गर्दाखेरि यो न्यून चाहिँ कारोबार भइरहेको बजारमा अहिलेको हिसाबले चाहिँ मुख्य समस्या भनेको चाहिँ मूल्य वृद्धि नै हो के अब नेपालीहरुले चाहिँ जुन आफ्नो क्रय शक्ति छ नि क्षमता हाम्रो बाइङ पर्चेजिङ क्यापेसिटी त्यो भन्दा चाहिँ सुन अलिकति माथि गएको हो कि सामान्य नेपालीहरुको पहुँच भन्दा चाहिँ अलिकति बाहिर गएको जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ
बैंकमा पैसा जम्मा गर्ने जो निक्षेपकर्ताहरु छ उनीहरुलाई पनि बैंकमा पैसा राख्नु भन्दा बरु अहिले सिक्योर भएको चाहिँ क्षेत्र जस्तो सुन यसमा चाहिँ लगानी गर्दाखेरि राम्रो हुन्छ जस्तो भएर उनीहरुले चाहिँ सुनमा लगानी गरेको अवस्था छ.
The massive increase in price has also increased the number of people trying to sell their gold in the market.
अधिकांश सुन पसलहरुमा बिक्री गर्ने मानिसहरुको मात्रै अलि बढी चाहिँ उपस्थिति देखिन्छ खरिद गर्ने मान्छेको चाहिँ छैन. धेरैवटा सुन पसलहरु बन्द भइसकेको छ र अब यही किसिमको चाहिँ अब बजार मन्दीमै गइराख्ने अवस्था रह्यो भने अझै धेरैवटा सुन पसलहरु बन्द हुन सक्छ.
Gold price had hit the 82,000 mark last year but dropped to 77,000 just before the lockdown. But with the coronavirus ensued lockdown, the price of gold kept increasing and has now crossed the 100,000 mark, well above the purchasing power of an average Nepali.
Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for more international and sports news. Welcome back, and now the international news. India's Defence Ministry warned in a statement that a military standoff with China that began with border fighting in June is likely to be a long one. The warning comes despite multiple rounds of talks between the nuclear-armed rivals to defuse the tension, Reuters reported. The news agency said that India's Defence Ministry later removed the statement from its website. The ministry said in an update for June, which has now been removed, that Chinese forces had breached the border in north shore of Pangong Tso Lake in Ladakh on May 17-18. New Delhi says a violent face-off that followed the intrusion killed 20 of its soldiers in the western Himalayas. It was the worst outbreak of violence between the giant Asian neighbors in decades. China accuses the Indian side of crossing the de facto border and provoking its soldiers. While engagement and dialogue at military and diplomatic level is continuing to arrive at a mutually acceptable consensus, the present standoff is likely to be prolonged, the Indian Defence Ministry said in the now removed statement. The UN Security Council discussed disputed Kashmir at Pakistan's request this week for the third time since India's Hindu nationalist government decided to end the Muslim-majority region's semi-autonomy a year ago. According to the Associated Press, the UN's most powerful body did not take any action or issue a statement after the virtual meeting behind closed doors. Nonetheless, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said afterwards that holding the meeting signified that Jammu and Kashmir is an international dispute. It has nullified the Indian self-serving claim that it is an internal matter, he said. On August 5, 2019, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government stripped Jammu and Kashmir's statehood, scrapped its separate constitution and removed inherited protections on lands and jobs. India's action and harsh security clampdown has sparked anger and economic ruin in the region. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. The lineup for the final 8 of the Europa League completed late last night as Wolves, Basel, Sevilla and Bayern Leverkusen won their ties. Wolves survived a nervous night at Molineux to reach their first European quarter-finals in 48 years as Raúl Jiménez's early penalty earned them a 2-1 aggregate win against Olympiacos in the Europa League. Wolves will play Sevilla in the final 8, who beat FC Roma 2-0 on aggregate. German side Bayer Leverkusen beat Steven Gerrard's Rangers by an aggregate score of 4-1 as they sealed their final 8 spot. Rangers were trailing 3-1 from their first leg loss at Ibrox. Leverkusen will play Italian side Inter Milan, who won their tie with an aggregate score of 2-0. FC Basel secured their qualification by beating Eintracht Frankfurt 4-0 on aggregate and will play Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk in their quarter-final tie. Manchester United have been drawn against FC Copenhagen as the final game of the quarter-final lineup. The final 8 matches are scheduled for August 11 and 12th. England are struggling to keep afloat in the first test after a Shan Masood-inspired Pakistan dominated the second day at Emirates Old Trafford cricket ground. Opener Masood scored 165 runs, forming the basis of Pakistan's 326. He added 105 with Shadab Khan, who scored a laboured 45 to help Pakistan post a strong total in the first innings. When England came out to bat, the hosts were exposed to Pakistan's skillful, enthusiastic and dangerous attack and limped to 92 for 4 at the end of day's play. Rory Burns was LBW to Shaheen Afridi in the first over and Dom Sibley fell in the same way to Mohammad Abbas, who also bowled out Ben Stokes. England were at one point stuttering at 12 for 3. The final wicket of the day was taken by Yashir Shah, who got captain Joe Root out for 14. Oli Pope and Josh Butler stabilized the innings as they helped England reach 92 for 4 in the second day. Earlier, Pakistan, who finished day 1 on 139 runs after 49 overs, reached 326 in 109 overs. For England, Stuart Broad and Jofra Archer both took 3 wickets each. Premier League clubs have voted against continuing to allow 5 substitutions in a match for the 2021 season. The rule was brought in when the 2019-20 top flight season restarted in June, having been halted for 3 months because of the coronavirus pandemic. For next season, the league will revert to 3 permitted substitutions after the vote at a meeting on Thursday. The Premier League said clubs had also approved the implementation of VAR in line with the full FIFA VAR protocol, BBC reported. It comes after world governing body FIFA took on control for overseeing the video assistant referee system from the International Football Association Board, IFAB, the sports lawmakers. Part of the change will see an increase in referees using the pitch-side monitors for goals, red cards and penalty kicks. In terms of the extra substitutions, many members are believed to have felt having 5 was unfairly benefiting the major clubs, despite FIFA allowing the continued use of the rule if leagues wanted. FIFA said the 5 substitute rule can be used in competitions until August 2021, meaning the European Championships and Copa America can adopt it next summer. The Premier League also voted for a maximum of 7 substitutes on the bench. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Coronavirus claims 7 lives in a single day, number of infections rising rapidly. Government assures it will not reimpose nationwide lockdown, does not rule out partial lockdown in affected areas. Price of gold crosses 100,000 mark, the precious yellow metal beyond average Nepalese purchasing power. India warns standoff with China will be long, retracts the statement later. And final 8 of the Europa League confirmed, Wolves reach quarter-finals of any European Cup after 48 years. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.